And at the major, we've had quite a bit of Villa. Even this stage, we've had a couple as well. For me, I think you've just got to look back at the history of this matchup, though, Tim. BDS detested Villa for the longest time, if you'll recall. Refused to play there. Every now and then they bring it out and test it, like say, oh, can we play it now? They get slapped down. They put it back in the back pocket for another 6 months or so. So for them to bring it out here and leave it through for G2 to pick is really, really interesting. And for G2, I can't help but think of how so many teams play this map, where you have one player looking to hit them on the flank later in the round. That plays wonderfully into Citizen's playstyle on the attack inside. For me, we need to see G2 get through the defense in good shape and then see how they can do on the attack inside, because this game, Tim, it's going to be made and formed on the attacks alone.
Well, the bans are flying in at the minute. We've got Hibana, we've got Nock, we've got Mirror, and we will see our final defender ban coming in just a second. It is G2 to select it, and it seems like there's a lot of thought going into this one. Not too certain about it, but it will come through as a Melusi. Quite an interesting one. Obviously, just wanting to get rid of those Banshees, maybe suggesting towards a play style that's going to lend itself to, you know, a little bit of an aggressive push, not necessarily into sight, but into areas of the map like stairways and other places that would be usually held at bay by those Banshees.
I mean, they've done what every team tries to do against BDS, Tim. They try and ban out Shaiko. It's his go-to operator. Things on the attacking side, it's a little bit harder. You'll see Finker, you'll see Yana. He'll happily play either of those two. But on the defensive side, Melusi has been one of his most played and most comfortable operators out in the roam. So it's just trying to slow him down here a little bit and introduce a bit more chaos into the mix of things.
Well, we're going to get right underway. It's going to be round number 1, and our first defensive site for G2 will be Aviator Games. Nothing too wild in terms of operator picks that I can see there, pretty much as would be expected. I'm interested to see where Alamau uses the Kiba barricades as the Azami there, down towards main stairs currently, and that seems to make a lot of sense to me. I do believe that we've just got a little game sound issue as well that may be extending to the stream, so I do apologise if that's the case, but fear not, we're going to get it fixed as soon as possible. It's probably going to be after this round, so just bear with us. But
I thought it was just me, Tim.
Well, for a second I did, because I'm not for a little behind the scenes peek for everybody. I'm not casting at my normal spot, Des. I'm casting from Milosh's spot as in the position of the host, so I haven't had to move, you see. But so I thought it might just be that setup, but I believe not. But if necessary, we will get that sorted at the end of the round.
We shall indeed. But there's still plenty of Siege to watch in that time, right? Looking towards BDS, their whole focus here up towards this north side. We've seen this 1,000,001 times, Tim. If you're defending down towards the south in Aviator Games, guess where you're going to attack from? You're either coming up from that north side or you're coming in from the balcony. Normally with someone looking to work in below to work in a couple of those up nades. In BDS, they've taken the former. They've put their focus on this north side, trying to force these roamers back down. My slight concern is, and we've seen this so many times, Citizen playing off that kind of spot down below 90. They got cams on the upstairs, and they're likely going to have a C4 ready to toss skyward as soon as someone steps over, and it will be the biggest freebie G2 will ever find. You know, teams still get bitten by this even this far on, so I think a really good drone coming in below would help out for one side of things, but also potentially go and hunt down Citizen will no doubt be a good shout too.
Breeder just spotting out the Azami of Alamau there and just pinging his location, but as if he knew, Alamau does manage to dip himself away and get himself back into start site, not overstaying his welcome there. So for the time being, Rafal is going to push through. They've got control of the north side already. They're looking to move in towards Wolf and beyond, getting themselves Ranchiro here, just pushing towards that 90 corridor as well. So they're just going to have a lot of map control quite quickly here. 1 minute 10 left to go. Doki's got himself up on top of the maps table. That's actually going to save his life. He does take a little bit of damage and is low health, but Shaiko unable to find a kill with those up nades.
Yeah, the vertical's raining on through. Also a bit of chip damage coming in. I think Citizen C4 did come out and do half damage to Wrench. She wasn't 100% sure, game sound and all. But either way, it put him down to about half. Obviously, the beauty is, again, Shaiko, if Finker is available, he is going to be playing it on the attacking side. Can just juice those teammates back up towards full health. And the chip damage you take, it doesn't feel so bad. But the chip damage down onto players like Doki, you'll be feeling that all the way through to the end of the round.
The hunt for the first kill continues here as Playday and Shaiko are looking to move in towards that. It's going to have to. There's going to be a bloodbath in about 10 or 15 seconds. There's only 25 left on the clock. Renshiro's going to be downed outside the vault. Will be finished off by Alamo with that impact nade. Shaiko goes down to Alamo as well. Big round coming in from the Azami. Playday, however, is able to get into that plant spot, but the smoke canister will force him back away, taking lungfuls of damage. He has to move to a secondary spot. We've got Doki out. Virtue down, 2v2, and 3v3 effectively, and the plant is going to be secured, but here comes Alamo on the flank. Prano as well joins in the party, and it's 1v2 now for G2, but Virtue
1v1
is down, so effectively 1v1 unless Citizen has an opportunity to pick him up. He's going to go for the challenge though. He's looking into study corridor. He finds his man, gets the kill onto Rafal, and will be able to disable that activated diffuser. Great end to the round for G2.
Snapshot like a bear trap there at the end as well, Tim. Citizen's, his reaction time terrifies me. And the thing is, you've got both Shaiko and Citizen in server to get excited about, but that is one way to end out that first round in style. We said it would come down to that massive bloodbath. Things were being slightly stalled out because of the smoke canisters coming out. But I think ultimately towards the end there, a little bit of miscommunication as well on what the game plan was meant to be. Clearly, G2 had no idea exactly where that plant was going down. Playday managing to avoid the play from below. But it said a lot to me that even though BDS had the downstairs control earlier on with those vertical grenades coming up, G2 still managed to get Doki on the downstairs to contest from below. So good moves from G2 trying to deny that by moving around and making full use of the verticals. But BDS hold on for the most part until Citizen wins out that 1v1.
Heading into round 2 then, and this game sound is now fixed. I don't know if that was, as I say, for you, for us, for everybody, but whatever, it is now
It's
fixed.
For everyone, mate. Don't worry.
It's now fixed. It's done. It's done, Des. They've sorted it. We've got a superstar production team, and they are on the ball. Got it done, and we can head into round 2, which, interestingly for G2, is going to be down and dining and kitchen rather than taking trophy and statuary. Now then, we've had a little switcheroo of operators as well. So we had Azami, which was played by Alamo last time. That's this time going to be brought along by Prano, and that's just giving a little bit of a shift then. Alamo onto the mute, so he's going to be playing the shotgun. Let's see how this goes, because sometimes I think, you know, it can be nice as a player to have consistency, you know, to keep yourself on that same gun, same recoil, same utility, same focus, but they've mixed it up. They've also got Virtue on the pulse, which I always like to watch a pulse play, especially if BDS are going to head in for that top floor.
Some teams are absolute nightmares with the pulse as well. They do really good work with it, feeding information not just vertically for C4s, but also laterally, sometimes even below. I think I recall a 1v3 last week where the player was being tracked the entire time by a pulse. Just really valuable to have that constant information. And the wonderful thing is playing down there where Virtue is, out towards laundry side, up towards pantry. This particular position, one, you're protected from pretty much every side. Like the chance that someone gets in directly above you and starts hammering away is unlikely. They're much more likely to go for the hatch. You just gain so much control of master bedroom, of the outside master balcony, down pantry stairs, outside pantry window, outside memorial. You just have so much information that you can gather and feed to the team. It's a really big power position for a pulse to play in, so I'm completely in line with why they're bringing it along. And I think the Aruni coming in for Doki, arguably because they aren't bringing things like Wamai or Jaeger here, they need something to at least try and burn through some of that utility. Otherwise, those 4 grenades from BDS that are in the back pockets of Renshiro and Shaiko, you know exactly where they're headed.
Somewhat unusually, we've got our second game of the night where Thatcher is available, and no surprise, he's being brought along. It's going to be Lems playing Thatcher, the EMP grenade going out there and just allowing that pantry wall to be opened up. There's the nitro from Virtue. That was the one that I wanted to see. Always fun to watch a pulse, but immediately traded out by Shaiko. Lems onto Prano, and Playday, he's in a position to get this diffuser down as this is super early. 1 minute 20 still on the clock, but he's successful, and G2 are left having to fight their way back into sight on a retake. Doki, he's going to find the first onto Shaiko. It's now a 3v3. Playday gets one. They're going in either direction, but ultimately now it's a 1v2. It's Alamo versus Playday and Rafal.
It's one of those where you look at and just think for Alamo, he had a massive 3k back in round 1, and is this his time to shine up once again? With only about 10 seconds left to find 2 kills on the verticals in full control of BDS. I just simply don't see it happening at this point, Tim. So this one should feel much more stabilized out. Playday, he plants, he kills, he does the lot. And BDS bring it up to 1-1.
A good start from G2 with that opening Nitro kill, but BDS were well positioned and able to get themselves a couple of trades very, very quickly to give themselves the advantage. But what I like to see here, Des, obviously, but these are two teams we've spoken about it already that aren't playing at the best we've ever seen their respective teams playing. They're sort of struggling a little bit, but what I'm liking from BDS is this feels to me like they've sort of gone back a step to, it's almost like the last safe install. What was the last thing that worked really well for us? Getting the diffuser down, playing the objective. Shaiko going in there, getting a couple of kills, creating space, and Playday getting that diffuser down. And they've done it in the first 2 rounds here. They've got the diffuser down 2 out of 2, and that was just such a huge strength for BDS. It's nice to see them doing it. Fabian obviously picked up in the pre-show the way that BDS had been struggling to be decisive. They were going in there, getting themselves a bit of map control, and then not really moving for a minute and a half. This time, a minute and a half, and Breeders slamming the diffuser down. Much better to see from them.
Yeah, for the longest time, I've described BDS. For a while, the word I was using was exotic. They're not an exotic team. They don't do anything particularly crazy or colourful. Now, the word I've sort of settled on that makes a lot more sense is they are an undynamic team. They just felt like a team who you knew what they were going to do. Almost like old Empire, they just did it so well that no one could really stop them. But then we started to see the performances slowly start to step away, and BDS became very predictable, very static, and you didn't really ever see, again, these kind of flares of play come out that really made you go, wow, these guys are unpredictable. They can surprise people. It just started to look very samey, especially in the mid-round when they'd lose 60, 75, 90 seconds and seemingly achieve very, very little. It was just very bland to watch. But I think here again, like by trying to circumvent that whole mid-round and just saying, right, boys, 1:30 left. We're going for a plan. We're going in to make a play happen here. And I think what G2 are doing here with Doki in this round especially is really smart. Get out in the map, look to challenge them early on and find a wonderful opener onto Rafale. That's the sort of stuff you're looking for. Into a second, down goes the Finker as well. You've lost both those big entries here as well. Much better from G2. Disrupt BDS. Force them to play that really awkward mid-round that they aren't very strong in. And that is where you'll find victory.
Fantastic start from G2 there, and that is exactly what this team needs to do. It needs to find a way, and just as I was making the point, thank you, Citizen, Doki, Citizen, they've got 2 of the best gunners in the league on their side. They have to find a way to facilitate them, to put them in positions, to use those mechanical skills, to support them, to get those kills, and that is one way this team is going to win. I'm not suggesting they're a 2-man team. What I'm saying is that they need that team structure, and they need the support to be able to really bring that skill to bear. They've got themselves great openers there. Shaiko who? He's been dealt with. He's been taken out of the round. 5 versus 2, past the halfway mark, and this is looking like a G2 round through and through.
It is. A lot of that work being done on the south side, as I mentioned, right? You remove the Iana and the Finker, you take 4 grenades offside, you remove the ARX, you get rid of the LMG, you remove the global buff as well in terms of the healing. You just lose so much by virtue of getting that kill. I'm sure a KLM's bringing one back is nice, but I still don't see a way in the last 50 seconds how BDS managed to completely drag this one over the line, given their massive numbers disadvantage. And I don't think they necessarily played that wrongly or horribly down towards main stairs either. Shaiko came in for the trade a couple of seconds after a foul, but Doki was just ready, hit those better shots and won the round pretty single-handedly in my opinion.
Alamo just taking a peek there out from Statuary towards Master Window, but he's not going to overdo it there. He doesn't need to. Doki's backing him up and absolutely slaps a Lems off the master bed there, and that leaves us now in a 1v4. No choice for Breeder but to try and get himself inside the map. Goes through the window, gets shut down by Alamo, who was holding the line with his army, and that is G2 taking round number 3, 2-1 now.
Yeah, big play from Doki. I don't want to kind of pile on G2 too early because they are up 2-1 here. Round 1, won by a 1v1 by Citizen. Round 3, won by Doki getting a big 2k down to the south and shutting that attack down before it even got started. It's not even the G2 are playing bad. Like, they're winning rounds. It's okay. My only concern is, again, you're looking at 1 or 2 players here kind of pulling off these big miracle rounds. Whereas you look at the team play so far coming out of BDS in terms of their planting, their focus on the objective. It has been stronger. Last round, they kind of got caught out. This is where we've got to see it improve now. We're coming back onto one of those main sites in Aviator Games. I know they don't play this map often, but it is the bread and butter site on this map. You've got to have a plan.
You do. That's it, and I expect that they will. You know, that is the thing with Aviator games is it's the bread and butter site, and it's been played a million times, both on attack and defense. So, you know, yeah, it's inexcusable to not have a plan A, B, and C on this site. Essentially, you really should, no matter what you face up against, be able to have an idea of how you're going to deal with it. Then, so here we go. G2 holding on, looking for round number 3 for themselves on the scoreboard. They've got the Kiba barricade towards main. Says there's a lot of utility stacked up on main, so potentially expecting some south-sided pressure. We've got Kiba barricade, 2 ADSs, deployable shield, barbed wire. We've got a proximity alarm, I think, is it? No, it's a Whammo Magnet. We've got a bit of everything going on that wall, on those stairs. It could all be wasted because right now BDS are stacking up to that north side.
It's the same as round 1, right? We spoke about it back then. There's 2 options. You either go from the south and look to get someone in below, or you come in from the top side and work your way down together. They had to worry about Citizen and his C4s last time round, so once again, Rafala's gone, okay, let's pay some respect towards him here. Let's bring along that IQ. And what they did was kind of almost play it really slowly, where they were just slowly moving the front line forward step by step, taking out a gadget, almost playing the floor is lava and dodging around the spots where that C4 could come through. So I feel they've got a good answer to Citizen. And last time round as well, Shiko got below, was chucking nades skyward. They could do some good damage with those nades, and it wasn't until the late round when Doki got below and started actually challenging them. Here, I'd maybe like to see G2 be willing to go a bit more aggressive and try and stop those nades coming through in the first place, and that's how they might find themselves a much more convincing victory than that 1 versus 1 they had before.
G2 a couple of times now have had to play for the retake of a site once the diffuser's gone down. That's something that they need to be wary of, and wary of up nades they will be, as Ilems throws his first but does not connect with anybody.
Up stuff.
That's it. Citizen needs to get maybe a little bit more active.
I mean the word up nades.
Oh,
Tim.
up nades. What do you want? What would you prefer? Vertical nades?
What's up nades? Oh, what's up, dog? Ha 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 ha. It's so fun. I just think of it every single time someone says up nades. It pains me. And Fresh started this, and I'm going to
start asking you every time you say up nade. I'm going to say, what's an up nade?
Don't you dare. No, I don't need that.
Well, they also need to stop the up nades being played, Des, because Citizen is underneath and he's got the opportunity to get a little bit mobile and to put that pressure onto Ilems. It's not something that he has done so far. We're going to hear another Keeper barricade deployed after the first was destroyed, and then a nade comes in and takes out the second, but it is met by a Toxic Babe canister, so that's going to hold the push on maps though for now. Easy. Citizen, yes, that's what we needed from him, was the kill onto Ilems.
That's the kind of stuff you want. Yeah, one coming back the other way. Shiko, the nade coming through finally and finding its target, even through magnets, ADSs, you name it. But Doki's got into a second here. I believe he's playing down in study. So worked his way up main stairs. Didn't get tagged. Now it's this awkward kind of bottleneck that BDS are being forced into on this north side door. Renshiro one back at least. It's a 2 versus 3. But BDS have once again just crumbled here. Some of it to that downstairs aggression. I say that. They've managed to swing it back, Tim. Citizen is on 25 HP. A single bullet will see him gone from either of these guns. I imagine they're trying to find the man, but can't quite collect. Drops away down, and Doki also down to a slither of HP.
Ranshiro's going to have an opportunity to get the diffuser down now. Rafal's on the cover as they try to move back upstairs. Doki makes a challenge, can't find his man. Citizen pushing from the far side as well. Doki gets Ranshiro. It's all up to Rafal. He finds one. Can he find the second? He's just got the low health Citizen to deal with, but no! Citizen once again, second time this game, will get the kill, will get the clutch, and will disable that activated diffuser.
That's another really interesting round that hasn't played out massively dissimilarly to the last time we saw this site. A little bit more of a scrap on the downstairs. Last time rounds, they passed each other like ships in the night, but this time at least we had that little confrontation where Citizen found the opener. But that mad explosion once again into the plant. I mean, Again, I'm not going to say G2 are playing bad, but it's another round where they've relied on a player outplaying the opposition, whether it's a 3K from Doki or 2 1v1s from Citizen. It is coming down to those moments, but if you win the game off the back of that, no one's going to knock you for it. Fair play.
Round number 5 it will be then. G2 going to have to head down to dining and kitchen, having one trophy statuary in AVG in the last 2 rounds. This is the only site so far that they have lost. BDS were able to get a very quick win. Breeder straight in, and at about the 1:40 mark was throwing that diffuser down on the ground. Something G2 are going to be a little bit more alert to, I think. But there's a bit of a problem for them to deal with, and it's a difficult one at that. And it is the Thatcher of Ilems. That was what started to open things up up last time. It enabled Playday on the ace to open up pantry wall very, very quickly and gave them the access to site that they needed to think about getting that diffuser down. BDS know that playing the diffuser so far is to a degree working for them. I'll discount the last round because Ranchiro put it down because the clock was running out. It was a necessity to keep that clock going. But Playday, particularly in round 2 on this site, got it down and there was nothing G2 could do about it. There's been a definite objective focus for BDS and I think we're going to see more of it in round 5.
I think it's kind of interesting here how they made a little change towards the end as well, right? Originally bringing the IQ, expecting maybe a Valkyrie to come out once again, playing on the downstairs, got the pulse, you can find that out. They changed it away onto the Nomad instead, more towards the last 5 to 10 seconds. Ideally, I imagine, once they discovered there was no Valkyrie to deal with. And that's probably a read into how the last couple of rounds have gone, when in the mid to late round, especially towards the late, G2 are sending players off on the flank to come and try and disrupt and cause some damage to the setup or the perfect execute that BDS have got in mind. So I think it's quite smart bringing the Nomad along here just to kind of cover off the paths you've already walked down. And I love this camera from Playday as well. Why would you ever look behind the candle in this case? Down they come. It's an absolute freebie for Shaiko, but Alamau's there for the trade. I don't think the call was there. There was a second one there, Tim, and they get a wonderful bounce back 1-for-1.
Alamau's going to take a lot of damage in that engagement, but G2 likely not to mind too much. Alamau just going the long way and looking to get himself back into sight. Renshiro on that sledge, just working with a little bit of support from Rafal there to try and make sure they've got that top floor control, but they did suffer to a Virtue Nitro last time around, and on the pulse again, it's something that they need to be aware of. Keep in mind and make sure that they don't allow it to happen. Doki, he could be a key character in this round. We've seen him have some big impact kills so far, and you just feel that there could be more coming from him.
But I do want to give a quick note towards G2 you know, previous weeks, more on the attack side rather than the defense, who criticised their lack of trade play and lack of team play. Throughout this game now, in arguably 3 rounds, we've seen a really good focus on playing for trades. This round being no different with Alamau on the downstairs. We saw it down at the bottom of main stairs, for example, when Alems on the Iana was coming in through library. So small bits of team play are starting to emerge for G2, something that has lacked before. Seeing that come online really does fill you with hope that the attacks could look a lot better. Prano looking for a challenge here out towards Mud, but the man just not taking his chances.
That's it. He knows that there's 45 seconds left to go and he is more valuable at this point inside of sight because that's where the pressure is mounting. Rafal manages to find Alamau, was on low health anyway, but it is down to 2, down to 1 as Virtue finds Rafal in a late trade, but now finds himself also in a 1v3, makes a challenge, but they've got him from every angle. And once again, BDS are able to win that offsite, but G2 are still looking good here and could be heading towards the 4-2 half we would expect of the defenders.
Even a 3-3. I mean, I'm kind of in that mindset of calling out a map should be 3-3, 4-2, even 5-1 these days is kind of a bygone thing. You know, attack and repick came in and balanced that. Some teams now say, oh, Azami and Mira have now made it actually so the defenders are more favored again. It's just in such a mixed match of kind of places right now that really it kind of shows a lot about a team's merit if they can get even a couple of attacking rounds right. For BDS to be where they are with this objective-based focus and G2's wins coming from big hero plays by individual players, namely Citizens 2 1v1s, it has been razor sharp in terms of how close it is between the two. And I'm quite excited to see how the second half goes when we get there. For now, we'll see how Trophy and Statuary goes. And looking across the lineups of both teams here, no real big changes coming in. It's an identical lineup once again coming out for G2. On the attacker side, though, you've got that Twitch coming in with the Flores.
Trophy Statuary it will be for round 6 then, final defence for G2. They managed to win this back in round number 3 in exactly the same circumstances, having just lost the previous round in Dining and Kitchen. They actually did a very good job of keeping BDS out of the map almost. There was a couple of kills came around windows just inside a master bedroom, just really making their life difficult. It was Doki on the study side particularly that made life a misery for them. Got himself Rafal, got himself Shaiko. Unlikely to see the same sort of success in the first minute or so this time, I would expect. So G2 may need a plan B.
They may well do, yeah. I think the big one for me is seeing how this early round goes once again, right? I keep on touching on it for BDS. When G2 get up in their faces and disrupt them, that's when things start to slowly kind of fall apart for them. Here, there's considerably less focus on that south side for Doki, as you say. Like, why bother getting down there and getting up in that mixer once again? Put a focus on this top side of the map, which you have taken control of a couple of times before, especially when looking in towards an aviator push. So yes, even though there's more resistance on the north side, clearly BDS feel a bit more confident in getting the control they need here hoping that someone's going to step through the rotate, and Alamau straight away just poking his nose in, hoping to find someone, but instead it's a Lems who out on that south side finds Doki.
That's a great start for BDS, exactly what they needed, and the exact flip reverse of the fortune that they suffered last time they attacked onto this site. They have the advantage, and we know that they're likely to play for that objective. They've got an opportunity now to push forward. Alamau does manage to find Shaiko though, and again he had a good game in this position last time around. The little peek out of study window is not going to reap any rewards. There's nobody exposing themselves to that angle, and the Rotero drone will take out the castle. We'll see the keeper barricade go and replaced once again, and have another one for fun. Alamau's just stacking utility up in front of BDS.
That's even in the face of them being blown out by this Flores as well. This is the thing with the keeper barriers. You've got to burn so much like hard utility to get through them here. They've now gone through all of their Selmas actually to keep on chunking their way through. So the rest of it's going to be really down to this sledge with the nades in back pocket. The hammer if he can get close, but really you should be getting nowhere near those with the sledgehammer before you're being killed out. So this is where you're really seeing the frustration of the Azami and just how much time she can waste. You open up a wall, you open up a castle barricade, it's getting replaced 2, 3, 4 times over by keeper barriers.
Well, this is it. It's very risky to take those keeper barricades down with a sledgehammer because you're completely defenseless for a second or two. It drops from in front of you and you've got your sledgehammer out. You're still bringing your rifle back to bear, so it's a problem. We have a kill go 1 in either direction. Virtue's going to find Renshiro, and that leaves us now in a 3v3. Time could become the enemy for BDS here. Breeder just spotting out that lesion, putting down the goo mine, and therefore knows that he's on Astro Stairs, so he can hold this position, but as ever, the clock works in the favour of the defenders. Citizen doesn't actually need to move here. Breeder is going to have to do something, and will. Prano managing to trade out Rafal after he found Virtue, and that leaves us 1v1, but Bulletproof Cam on the side of Breeder tells exactly where he is. Prano knows the fight is coming, but still can't win it. Breeder finds his man. We know how good he is in those clutch situations, and he delivers once again.
I was really nervous we were going to have a classic BDS round there, Tim, because from that, like, about the 2-minute mark down to probably the last 30 seconds, they were just getting stalled out. They couldn't push through bedroom. They couldn't get their way through the keeper barriers. Admittedly, they are incredibly frustrating, but it just looked like a classic round where BDS don't really achieve much. If not for Rafal vaulting in through the window out towards the west side, like, in that last 20 seconds or so, getting the kill, starting to open things up, it wouldn't have came down to that 1v1 at the end. That's a portal combat that Breeder walked away as the winner in. It's another one of those rounds where it comes down to an individual player, so I'm still asking questions around the team play here of both teams to some level. BDS had a couple of good rounds of attacking and going for the plant, but outside of that, mainly for G2, it has come down to these individual moments of brilliance.
Going to be heading on to the defensive side for BDS. Now then, they will go to Aviator Games to begin with. The big difference here is the Echo being brought along by Rafal. Not something that G2 decided to employ. We're going to have 2 Yokai drones out in the map. The potential, of course, to deny the diffuser as well. What are you seeing, Des? What are you seeing?
The lineup from G2 just kind of went a bit wacky there. I looked down it for a while. I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
It did indeed. I was focusing on the defenders. It's got crazy.
No, it looks sensible, but then they thought, you know what? Let's bring along a Decabi for one. Let's bring a Blitz for another. Let's bring a Jackal. This, to me, just screams, and especially in combo with the Twitch as well, we are going roaming hunting, boys. We want to find these players that are out on the map, trying to be aggressive, holding in a rat corner somewhere. They get called on by the Decabi. They get called on by the Jackal. Doki will be right up in their face, full flashing them and looking to bring them down. Either that, or they're
going into side
redundancy picks, and the Blitz is more to think about the push through. This screams to me Rogue, Tim. Rogue did this a lot back in stage 3, but it's to forget about hard breach. On the count of 5, we all get inside the windows and we all charge for the site. This either goes wonderfully well or crashes spectacularly in the first 5 seconds.
I'm just not sure they've got the numbers at the minute. That's my concern. Doki's going to go absolutely full tilt into site. Does manage to get himself involved. He's gone on a clearance and he finds one. Alamau gets Breeder as well along the way to open things up, but Shaiko, he's able to take down the shielded Blitz, and that leaves us now in a 3v3 after what was an explosive start to the round. But as you say, for me, my concern was that there wasn't enough manpower through it. If you're going to rush, all of you go in there and get the kills, get the diffuser down. It was just a little bit half-cooked for me.
That's exactly it. When Rogue did this, all 5 players swamped the site and just stormed it. But you've got Virtue, Citizen, and I forget the player off towards the south. I think it was Prano, who commandeered a lot of those attacks for Rogue back when he was on the team, who were all just nowhere to be seen. They're holding angles, really relying on Doki to get it all done by himself, and you need backup. You've got to play for trades and play off the chaos of the blitz there. So I like the idea they had in mind, trying to cause chaos and just force BDS to panic. But all you've done instead is gone, oh, well, 3 of us aren't even involved in this attack, and the other 2, oh, guess we're out the game. Unlucky.
Citizen underneath looking to work with those vertical nades. There's the Jackal Ping is going to come along.
You.
But the problem with the Jackal Ping here is normally when you're looking for vertical nades, you'd be using the yellow pings. You'd have your drone in, you'd use the yellow ping, and the defender doesn't know, so they don't step away. As soon as they get hit with a Jackal track ping, you saw what happened. They move away from that spot immediately. So it's not really the best tandem to have with getting those vertical nades. Now then, Keeper Barricade is going to seal off the door. Shaiko is going to seal Prano off as he manages to find himself a kill. 2v2. 25 seconds left to go. G2 need to get moving. Citizens finding himself challenging Shaiko, but there's likely only to be one winner with that shield. Shaiko, it doesn't matter. Front side, back side, he'll find you. He'll kill you. He'll shut you down. Citizen, he's looking to get himself inside his sight, but he's going to have to work through a Keeper Barricade here as all ports of entry have been closed off to him. Steps through Renshiro with a headshot. BDS with a first successful defense, and that's 4-3 and the lead for the first time here for the French team.
2v4 as well. Big pullback for the French team there. I mean, the fact that Shaiko is just so composed to ignore Citizen, one of the best gunners that we've got in EUL, bearing down on you from Maps North Door, and turn and take a very, very quick 1 versus 1 inside a study and then turn back to Citizen, just tells you the whole story. He is a terrifying player. I think back to that 1v1 that he got. I want to say it was against Benja on Cafe a couple of weeks ago, or last week I think it was. Just kind of steps in through the piano wall, instantly flicks onto the head behind a Keeper barrier. It was terrifying, and you're seeing more of that in this game. It's still not like hyper convincing from any given side. Like, G2 should be winning a 4 versus 2 every day of the week, but just simply cannot pull it back.
Here we go then, round number 8. BDS, what can you do now you are in the lead? That is the big question. They've only just moved on to the defense, so there's a real opportunity for them here to start building a little bit of momentum. They could turn themselves into that dangerous rolling stone heading down a hill towards G2. Now then, we've brought the castle along, Des. Not something, again, that we saw G2 employ. And I like this. It's Rafale every time that's bringing that. I sort of want to say disruptor, but Castle's not necessarily a disruptor, but in some ways, I suppose he is. He's funneling, he's preventing you moving through a push that you might like to, preventing you using angles that you might like to. He's had the Echo, he's had the Castle, he's just sort of mixing it up, and the feel of the defensive composition is revolving around him.
It's kind of what Ubisoft call the architects, right? They're the ones who transform sites, change the way that they're played, and Castle I kind of see as more of like a wormhole operation. That sounds really weird to say, Tim, but bear with me for a minute on this one. The idea behind the Castle normally is it's opening up different routes for the defenders to move through, knowing full well that a doorway isn't going to be easily shot out. It's going to require a Zofia to blow it open, or a sledge to be there, or a Gon 6 to pop it through. So you can quite comfortably, like you can see here, play on this little like rotate coming in through the triple wall. It just means all these different spots are safe for you. Now, Doki's kind of making it a little bit cheeky because a couple of holes being opened up inside it without it being fully opened does means that you can be in a bit of trouble. And Prano on the south window gets a freebie onto a Lems.
I tell you what, no matter what the form of these two teams coming into this matchup, Des, it just seems to remain the El Clasico. We are 4-3 on the scoreboard, 5-4 now with G2 having an advantage on the attack, and you just get the feeling that these two are going to continue to wail on each other all the way to the end of this one, potentially into overtime. But Shaiko manages to take the jump out and shut down Prano. This one it was already hot, but it's heating up even more.
He's just slipped through the net there, and he's straight through the spider's web, weaved through the eye of the needle. Beautiful stuff from Shaiko. Yes, gets traded out by Doki, which is a great bit of cover coming back in. But how on earth he's got past G2 drones there and got out that window is anyone's guess. Citizen, one more back, and it looks like G2 might start equalizing this one up, Tim, given they're already in a 4 versus 2. But we've seen them throw away the lead in the previous round. This time around, it might be a different story. Doki gets a massive 3K in the round, and G2 find themselves at 4-4.
This is actually great play on that final kill. Yes, I know they were in a 3v1, but the way... I tell you what, look at it from this direction. How do you lose a 3v1? You allow that defender to have 1v1s every single time. If your timing isn't right, that situation is definitely losable. But Citizen pushes, and as we see him, he's low health. He's probably going to lose that fight. He knows that. But he goes in and pushes, and as that is happening, we can see Dorky moving through the rotate. And that is the sort of team play that we haven't seen coming out of this G2 side in the first 2 weeks. Much, much better from them. It's a simple thing. It's one kill, but it's one kill that got them around, and it's one round that levels things up and keeps them fighting. And that is a building block. That is a foundation for this team to build from. G2 level us up. BDS are playing better than we've seen as well, and this is looking good. 4-4, and we head into round 9.
Alrighty. I mean, this time around, you're seeing a lot of the same sort of ops being rolled out once again, because why wouldn't you? Only real change coming in is there's no Kaid on side, and the Valkyrie is there instead for Shaiko. So taking him away from... I don't know if I'm 100% with this. Taking him away from the Aruni. He's had a wonderful couple of rounds playing on it, right? Some wonderful snapshots. Great 1v1s coming in. I'm not saying the MPX is an awful gun, but it is regarded as the P shooter, right? Very high damage drop-off. Not particularly high damage in the first place. Yeah, kind of a bit of a laser beam, so you'll give it that. But you're relying on those headshots, and I guess if any man's going to hit them, it's going to be Shaiko, right?
Certainly is. I mean, he's proved that. He's had 5 stages in a row, Des, where he's hit 100 kills or more. And just to throw another stat at you, guess who is leading the EUL in kills as it stands? That's right, it's Shaiko. Once again, he's currently on 35, if memory serves correct, including the 7 that he's got today. So, guess what? A third of the way through the stage, he is more than a third of the way towards 100 kills. And that could be his 6th in a row. It is absolutely unreal. And he continues to perform at that level consistently. Now then, round number 9, well underway. We're about a minute in here, and we are looking at G2 just still getting themselves established. They're looking for that control over Astro and Master side of things. They want to get themselves in, get established. Dorky manages to establish a headshot on to Elems, putting the LMG to use there, and that is going to be a good start for G2 on this site once again.
I think it was Doki earlier on who tweeted out about Rise's performance for Wolves earlier, saying, man, going 0-12 really did give him his kind of midlife awakening, right? And I said, so you going 0-12 today? Hoping it might wake Doki up, but he didn't need a 0-12 to him. He's already sat at 11-5 and really dragging his team through a couple of these rounds. We had the 3K in the prior, the 3K back in round 3. Really is doing God's work to keep G2 competitive.
He is, and the thing is, that's a very fair point about Dorky and about the rest of the players on this G2 side, as Virtue manages to find a kill onto Shaiko. Dorky finds his 12th onto Renshiro, and it's 5v2, 5v1 as Alamau gets Playday flawless, as Virtue gets another onto Rafal, and G2 take another round here to go to 5-4 on the scoreboard, and they once again edge themselves into the lead. But the point that I was making there before coming into this, you know, yes, we've spoken plenty and there has been plenty to say about the performances of G2 so far, but I said it coming in, G2 are a top or a bottom team. There will be no middle ground for them. They are not a mid-table team. And by that I mean, if they continue to have performances like they've had, they're going to sit at the bottom of the table. But as soon as things click for this team, you've got Dorky who's going to come out 13-5. You've got Citizen in another game who's going to drop 20 kills. You've got, you know, a great support line behind that. Prano, Alamau, Virtue are able to facilitate, play flex, do what's needed for the team, and as soon as they find that groove, they're going to be towards the top of the table. Simple as that. And that is why I say they are a top or a bottom team, and there will be no in between for these, I don't think.
Oh, I'm being slightly distracted by Fresh, who's opting to message me saying it'll be absolutely insufferable if G2 go on to win this. Which
Fresh is looking to have a real day on the predictions.
He's basically gone the exact opposite of everyone else, and I'll give it to him. Opponents played pretty well. They were in with a good chance of taking that at least through to overtime, so he's 1 for 1 so far. I think all of us are. This one might be a little bit more hairy. I can smell an overtime kind of on the way, to be honest with you, Tim. But I'm looking at G2's lineup. I'm seeing the Lion. I'm seeing the Ying. I'm seeing the Capitao. And it feels to me like they've been back in that... I don't recall... What would you even call a place that makes cheese? I was going to say the cheese brewery, but it's absolutely not a cheese brewery. They've been making some more cheese. They've been sniffing the cheese at this point.
I could be wildly wrong.
Again.
I could be wildly wrong in saying this.
Called?
I'm pretty sure it's made in a dairy, Des. I think it's made in a dairy. Along with milk.
Where does it say? Where are cheeses made? It's just, they just say factories. That doesn't
cheese
really
factory.
Count. It's kind of cheese.
Cheese factory.
Cheese factory is really boring. It cannot be that simple.
I would have associated it with the dairy. I would have thought it's probably all sort of part of the same product. You've got butter, cheese, and milk, haven't you? They're all coming from, you know, the same sort of the dairy farm.
I'll tell you what. I really feel like someone's missed out if all the labeling them as is factories. I really feel
if there's no name, like a cheesery or something like that. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. I don't know, something to do with like pasteurising or whatever. I don't know. Like, there's got to be some word there to do with it that isn't just factory. That's well boring.
Well, talking of cheese, we haven't seen any cheese from G2 since round 7, where they tried that blitz rush into site. They've actually come through and been playing very well, going in, clearing out roamers. Doki continues to do that, gets the kill onto Renshiro, takes him down, and G2 continue to push forward here. They've got the control underneath that they're looking for, and they can start pushing now towards the top floor.
And Shaiko equalises things back, and all things are equal because once again he's back on the Aruni as well, which, as we commented earlier on, round 7 and 8, had a good couple of rounds there, really hitting some nasty shots with the Aruni. I know he got traded out in that second round, but the first one especially was where he held down the fort inside of Aviator and got a couple of kills. And I hate myself, I've just said held down the fort. It's hold the fort, not hold down the fort. It's not going to fly away, and I should know this by now. Shaiko gets a second in the round, though, and really starts getting things moving for the side of BDS, who find themselves in this 4 versus 3. The first Candela came from Alamau, and you thought maybe you'd see some movement, but instead, no. Everything's kind of paused here for a second. Yokai is being relocated. No doubt drone work's coming through as well. And here comes another Candela inside of the bar. No, he's going to miss and potentially flash up Citizen, who has to dip away. That's a small mistake to make, but one that now ruins the element of surprise. Alems gets one back. In goes Alamau, blasted out, not just by the shotgun, but also by the Yokais. Citizen's left 1v4. He finds one, but can't find the rest. BDS take a pretty convincing round win.
Well, we're going to get to see all 12 as a minimum, Des. That's 5-5 now, and we push forward. Interestingly, neither team opting to take a tactical timeout so far, if I'm right. I don't believe. No, we haven't had one. So both of them, you know, obviously happy with how things are going at the minute. Feel like they've got that edge. Feel like they can push it forward, but also maybe just keeping that tactical timeout in the bank should the worst happen. And it is going to happen for one of them, as somebody is going to come away from this next round with a map point opportunity. You feel at the minute like both of these teams do deserve a little bit of something. If it goes to overtime, of course, it will be 2 points to the winner, 1 point to the loser. So that will be the case, but we are at least 2 rounds away from overtime yet. So let's not get overexcited, but we're in the third choice site for BDS here. It's going to be dining and kitchen downstairs. It's something G2 were unable to hold on to. Can BDS better them?
It's kind of the duality of G2, right? We've seen a couple of good rounds where, like, Alamau's got a 3k, Doki's had 2 3k, Citizen 2 1v1s. The list of accolades builds up in this game. But that last round for me was really reliant on good team play to force their way through this bottleneck that was forming around 90. The default cam was still left up for 1, and arguably the most critical thing, I thought at least, was a total lack of drone play. They had no idea those Yokais were about to blast them out. They had no idea there was a shotgun player hiding behind the bar. So even when they get the entry, everything just crumbles for G2 when it comes to a team-based execute. And I know in this game against I don't want to say a lethargic BDS, but like I said earlier on, undynamic is how I generally described them. Maybe they get away with it, but is it enough to be a top 4 team? I'm not really convinced.
Not at the minute. There's certainly work to do for either of these two, but before they get out of the server and think about the rest of the stage, there's work to be done inside of it to try and secure as many points as they can get. There's going to be an initial push in towards Master by the looks of things from G2. There's drones going in there, but Shaiko, he's going to get one onto Alamau, and seeing Shaiko playing an operator like Oryx is a terrifying thought, and this is the problem, Des, with banning his operators out sometimes. You take away the Maluse, so who else does he play? All right, I'll have a go with Oryx. This one that can run around the map through walls, up and down hatches, can then just create you a brand new headache, as he's going to hit and move, and be more difficult to pin down.
It's again that pulse work, just the info from below is going to be everything. I mean, they're trying to clear out on this top floor for now, which is, yeah, definitely the go-to game plan. You want that vertical control from above, most importantly, especially with the sledge on side. And it's another one of those rounds where I feel like Alamau has, I know, been picked off there, but in a spot where Same as the last round, the Candela slip coming through. We saw earlier on in the game as well, a couple of times he was getting picked off. It felt kind of needlessly and missed time with the rest of the team. We saw it on Bank last week as well. It just feels like he's always a few steps ahead of the rest of the team there, and that needs to really be reined back in so again the team play can start to form.
Doc, you're going to take a lot of damage there just on the master window, and G2 struggling to get themselves established inside of the map here. You feel still fighting over trying to get into master, and Shiro holding them at bay with Kiba barricade after Kiba barricade, continuing to fight both windows and just preventing them from moving inside. That could be a difficulty if they don't get that area cleared, because if they come to a point where they think we just have to push into site, they could do that. They could get themselves a couple of kills. They could get themselves an opportunity to put the diffuser down, but Alems and Renshiro up on the top floor will be able to hold it off with that vertical superiority. Citizen, he manages to move in on a backstab, but taken down immediately by Shaiko on the trade. Alems finds Doki, Prano on to Playday, 3v1, it's all up to Prano. He needs to find himself kills, and he needs to find them now. 35 seconds, but this is a bad situation. Outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, and Renshiro is going to put him down from above.
All right, another comfortable round for BDS. Now, this is where it gets a little bit dicey if you're G2. You know you're at this point now where you've got to win this round. I don't even kind of want to say it's too late, because it isn't. I think even getting to overtime here would be the start of a bit of success for G2, knowing they're in 10th place, very bottom of the...
They see that we see stage after stage, and they want to close this out here and now. Where they're going to have to do it, it is going to be trophy and statuary is the choice for them. If we have a little look back, they did this twice, round 8 and round 9. And I'm sorry to say, it was a G2 win both times. BDS, I feel like taking a little bit of a roll of the dice here. You know, the problem is, AVG, not available. Dining, not available. So you're looking at this, or you're looking at living room and library. Neither great choices.
I mean, given the stats of this game alone, yeah, absolutely not. There is definite work to be done for BDS, which I feel they're giving a good go here. They've changed up a few operators as well. They've changed up kind of what the game plan is. You look back at the prior rounds, they had things like the Kaid on side, the Echo. Now Breeday's moved across from that and gone across to playing on the Maestro. They've got the Alibi on side. They've got the Wamai. It screams to me more aggression, wanting to get out in the map and at least try and challenge G2 a little bit more, rather than just sitting there and waiting to die and roll over, right? The one thing I will give is Doki got a 3k in the first attack of this site, Alamau a 3k in the next, which was also a flawless round, so it did come down to 2 big moments from individual players. That's what makes me nervous. You know, Lightning can strike twice, but will it dare strike the same spot a third time? About to find out.
Alamai's going to open up Wolf window there, just hold his angle across the maps, across to the map's door, and just be able to cut off any rotate from 90 that should try to come back through. But what about that from Shaiko? Oryx in the last round, Alibi in this round, takes the run out, finds Virtue on Study Balcony, who is unprepared for the attack, and Alems, he finds Alamau on Wolf window, and Shiro onto Doki. BDS are flying, and it's flawless, Des. It's flawless as they finish G2 off and take all 3.
And that is my frustration, Tim, as well. Can you rely on the same thing to happen again and again where your players are clutching out rounds? Absolutely not. It's fragile if those big players get shut down, and that is exactly what Shaiko has done. But to really wrap it up, that round then reminded me so much of the Blitz Rush round coming out of G2. So the second